We're on. Awesome. Hello. Hello, everybody. Testing audio for just 1 second. Welcome to Surrender Lab. Tonight is going to be super cool. We're going to do our fluid night, which started, as some of you guys know, as our edges night. And I want to talk about edges for a second because it's going to be crucial for us to understand this just real quick in order to get into the kind of healing that we're going to do inside of ourselves tonight. So, Ashton, you want to say anything about the vibrations for a minute? About what, why?
Sure.
And maybe even start, as you're starting to play, maybe talk through.
Yeah. So here in Surrender Lab, we believe that we are our own healer. And we offer, we are able to heal ourselves through various techniques, and really an infinite amount of ways, almost any way you can imagine, you can figure out a way to heal yourself. One of the ways that we offer as a technique is vibrational healing. Taking vibration, outside vibration, and transmuting it inside of yourself in a direction that is most optimal for you to heal.
Right. So Ashton's going to get started playing some vibrations for us. Right now, tonight, it's going to be a little different than we've done in the past because tonight we are going to be standing the whole time. So for the next hour, if you don't feel like you can stand, that's perfectly fine. Nothing right or wrong about any way we do this. But I want to dive right into how to get ourselves in a pretty quick and efficient way into a place of feeling like we're the master of our own destiny. And that we're getting to choose instead of life happening to us. And so we're going to start by standing. And if you ever need to sit down or whatever, it's perfectly fine. If you need to walk away, it doesn't matter. What we're going to offer right now is just simply one way that we've discovered out of lots. And we don't claim this is the right or the wrong way. We don't claim to have the best way. We just happen to know that this actually works. And so we're going to share it with anybody who wants to actually try it themselves. What we found is that we can move in any direction that we want to in any present moment. We're either in a moment of self-care or we're in a moment of self-tear. And when we're in a moment of self-care, we realize that we're not just bound by the duality of everything and the polarization of everything, that everything is exactly right and wrong according to the way that I see it, and it's got to be this or that. The way we see things in a this or that, it's a limitation. It's very helpful, but ultimately becomes a limitation, and we realize that our independence is where we find the struggle the most. And so because we got to a point where we said, hey, why are we even doing this to begin with? Why? Because we believe that every single person deserves to enjoy living. That's our big why. Why tonight? Why we do our Insight Night? Why we do Kojna? Why we do everything is that we believe all of us. Now think about what's at the core of this messaging. We're saying we're attaching ourselves to the concept of inclusivity. Of no longer walking around and exclusively thinking that people are going to come around to our special way of seeing things because we're the right ones. And so we're letting go of the idea that we're right. We're going to accept the idea that what we're looking at could actually be our equal. And then really trying to actually receive and vibrate in a receptive way instead of in a resistant way toward those others, those so-called others that we only think are other until we realize, wow, they are other, but they're also part of me. And so we gain this skill, if we want to, in a moment of self-care, where we gain more clarity on what it's like. I'm just going to track. Sorry. We gain clarity when we're in this moment of actually accepting everything as it is. So if we're accepting everything as it is, in every present moment, That's what we're saying is the actual place of love. We've all been there a bunch of different times. We all know what love is at our very core, because we've all had some moment where we could tell that somebody just actually cared more than just about themselves. It seemed like they cared about you in an equal way. Now, if you haven't had that kind of an experience, and if you don't have any recall of that, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And I can empathize with the feeling of deep, deep, deep loneliness. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this, because we feel like, well, we now know one way to cure loneliness. And so that's why we're leaning into the concept of inclusivity, pointing out that there's no more battle inside of us when we aren't just focused on what is exactly right or wrong, or appropriate or inappropriate according to my version. Because if we're seeing it only from an individual standpoint, then we're just a me. And we're just still stopped up, and we're not letting the whole pipe inside being opened up to empower our empathy to see the uniqueness of somebody right before us as just like us. They have a unique story too. And wow, if I'm the master of my own little universe here, well, that means that they could be the master of their own little universe. What if I really just got inquisitive? And so what we're doing tonight is we're going to go inside of our bodies and use our body this very efficient way to get ourselves to a place of seeing the equanimity in all things. I have reached a place where I feel like, wow, I really, really authentically, genuinely see myself huge, so huge, in more ways than I've ever imagined before. And that used to be just like this big braggadocious kind of a feeling I had. My ego was all propped up. And then I felt like I had to kill my ego. And so I went on this violent pursuit of how do you kill your ego? And I started trying to get rid of it, just be unattached from everything. And this whole entire journey, it's been beautiful. I've had massive challenges all along the way that I've allowed or I've created for myself. And I realize and I see my part and my impact in all that now. And so what we're going to offer tonight is a fast track to gaining true strength right here in the now, instead of buying into any amount of false empowerment anymore. We can, and there's nothing wrong with hanging out in our cocoons, allowing some external thing to pacify us or be a crutch. There's nothing wrong with that, I'm not saying, but it is limiting and it is holding you back. And it's holding all the rest of us back to the level that you understand that your impact is really everywhere and that you're really attached to all of this. We believe that we're all in this together. And we believe that we're not right or wrong here. We just think that we've got something pretty cool that we figured out. And we're like, well, let's just share this, because how can we not share this with the world? So in our night tonight, we're going to learn how to become a little bit more fluid. So go ahead and get yourself into a stance where you feel like this is a standing meditation night. You guys are missing the standing? So tonight we're going to stand and we're going to lean into one simple way that we can all more effortlessly love on ourselves and have more self-care instead of self-tear as part of our being. So go ahead and widen your stance a little bit, wider than your shoulders, and let your feet point out just a little tiny bit so you kind of feel like you can drop down into an athletic stance. And if you don't know what that is, just look and just try to mimic approximately, just getting yourself into a place where you might not be able to squat down in much. It doesn't matter how far you can go. All we're going to do right now is just match our bodies to our awareness, to our breathing, to a place of fluid flow. And so that's a summarization of leaning into how to get to this place. And we're going to increase our sensitivity as we go. So go ahead and, if you can close your eyes, this even goes faster for most people. You don't have to, but really try to take your awareness on the inside right now. Please don't pay attention to anything else except for just your insides and just the voice that you're hearing. guys. We're just doing that. We're just getting started. It's so good to see you guys. Oh my gosh. Thank you for letting us hug these people first. Oh.
It's good to see you.
Cassie.
It's good to
Oh,
hi.
it's been a while.
How are you? It's so good to see you.
So, come in, you guys. We're already going. We're doing, just to catch everybody up real quick, so we're all on the same page. You find yourself in a comfortable spot right here where we're all, you guys, if you want to get into the camera with us, we can get right here. You don't have to be in the camera if you don't want to. But what we're doing right now is we're getting ourselves down into a little bit of an athletic stance.
Okay.
And we're going to show ourselves an efficient way to activate ourselves. For one way of saying it. So get into an athletic stance, drop yourself down just a little tiny bit, and then just let your body sway a little bit, whatever feels natural, just whatever feels like a sway. Go nice and slow enough so that and if you close your eyes, it makes it even easier. But go nice and slow enough that you start to become aware of all the moving parts inside of you. Try to engage your whole body all at once so that you tighten up your core a little bit. Don't really put a lot of energy in tightening up your core. Just take your awareness there. Start from your core. Move from your core. Let that be what dictates your motion, direction, and just go nice and slow. Take your awareness keep it on the inside. And don't label anything you're feeling, just sense it. And allow your awareness to roll or to move slowly. And you can just observe how everything's constantly changing. Your body is becoming more and more attuned to the idea that everything is always now.
Talk about the connectedness of all the different parts of your body.
Beautiful. So, it doesn't matter what kind of understanding you have medically or of the anatomy. In my experience, I don't have that much understanding of all that book-wise. But what I've learned inside my body for the past 7 years is that I started an inside-out workout. I took my awareness to my very core, what I'm talking about right now. Just a spot, just a little bit right below your belly button, maybe 2 or 3 fingers worth, straight up in the middle of you. Just see where you can actually move from there. So I found that spot, and I just took my awareness there, and I was like, I want my awareness to just be really familiar with what's going on there, because that's my area where there seems to be all this tightness revolves around it. And I felt like I was all twisted up, knotted up onto that spot. Well, as I paid attention to that spot, I started making the awareness bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's kind of hard to do at first. It felt like my thoughts were kept on coming in. But as long as I would take and really try to hone in on, I just want to keep observing here. I want to keep observing. I want to keep my awareness here, observing this area, down here, what's going on. Then I started saying, all right, now I want to will it. I want to take and I'm going to choose to make that little ball inside rotate to the front, rotate to the back. Oh, that's where, and you can feel it start pulling on all these little muscles and tendons, and you start feeling it. What I've now discovered, you start really feeling it attaching and connecting to, and you start feeling all your connective tissue everywhere, your fascia, your elasticity, your ability to have all this connected and be able to do stuff with it. Well, you start to learn how to make your fascia and all the rest of you, your tendons and ligaments and your muscles and your bones, so that you can move more fluidly without having to feel like I was, like 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, this big old huge fat guy that walked around all disconnected parts, didn't have a connection with my whole body. I didn't even fathom the concept of getting on a skateboard, because that means I just fall on my head again. The last time I tried to get on do the smallest little longboard bombing. Wipe out, wipe out, wipe out. Because I didn't have awareness of how to stay in connection with my whole body. So what I played around with was taking that ball and going forward, going back, going side to side. I'm doing this all slow. And I started about 7 years ago when I discovered it. And I just kept making that awareness bigger and bigger and bigger. I wanted to have more movement in here rather than fixed. Because I felt like inside of myself, every single moment of liberation was a moment where I was like, I feel more free. Where there's movement, there's life. I get it now, I get it. And so I've been on a mission, just hell-bent on getting more movement, getting more freedom. Because it's in this place that I feel unstoppable. I feel fearless. I feel powerful. I feel like I can do anything. Because I look what I'm doing. I'm doing something I never even imagined I could do before. I can stay down there and I can get strong with it. Well, you don't have to want to do that. It doesn't matter. We're just showing anybody who does want to lean into the concept of what it's like to lean into whole body movement, tied to our awareness. Think about the concept of if it's always now, it's always now still. Well, where does our awareness want to be? If it's on like, well, I don't feel like I've been taking care of my body well enough and I really want to do that, if that's the first thing coming to your mind, well, then just simply do it right then. Just do it. Exactly what your body's telling you to do. Just lean in exactly. Do exactly what it's telling you to do. And what I've learned is the more you connect it to your whole entire body, now let's practice taking that whole body connection and tying it to our breathing. This is such a key. When you inhale, you're receiving new. With every inhale, receive the new. Now release the old. Receive the new on every inhale. Release the old. Think of it in that kind of a figure eight kind of a way. It creates its little infinity right in front of you. You start infinity breathing vertically, and then you can infinity breathe horizontally. You can do this however you want to. There's no right or wrong again. There's just tips and tricks, and people all have different ways of what they're attracted to. But here we are in the present moment, accepting everything as it is. We're in surrender lab. If we don't accept everything as it is, whose fault is it? Right? It's always us, just in the moment of self-sabotage, not actually wanting to be receptive. We just want to stay resistant. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not saying that being fixed is bad. We honor it because we honor all of the past. All of it. Everybody's story is exactly what it is. And that's honorable. There are equals. And so this is an inclusive way to lean into my body. Now I'm not just a me. What if I would do this on the inside of me for all of us? Well, why can't I do that? Why can't I go on the inside of me and say, if it's all inside of me, if everything's inside of me, well then...
As above, so below.
Huh?
As above, so below.
Exactly. So where is above?
So
We're right here.
So within as without.
It's always it's always a solar eclipse. It's always a full moon. It's always the now. And so we can access any part of anything we want to when we just understand all true strength comes from within. Period. If we are focused on something external, there's nothing wrong with it, and we use those things to help us get along the way and make it more cozy sometimes. But it's ultimately, our clarity becomes back to we're getting in our own way at some level. As soon as we realize we're propping up and having something external be this thing that we have to have in order to advance ourselves. It's not true, and that's why we still stay stuck in fear and limiting ourselves in all different kinds of ways. There's nothing wrong with it. We just haven't got fully brave enough yet. Okay, Ash, what were you just going to say?
Yeah, thank you so much for saying all of that. I want to talk about next, as we just are just doing this and we're leaning into our range of motion. Because of course, we can force ourselves into some really tight positions. I can go, whoa, so far, right? But that wasn't extremely comfortable for me to do just now.
Right.
When you really lean it, when we're leaning into this, and we started out just kind of going back and forth, right? So we're just kind of playing a little bit with our comfort zone that we're kind of in all the time. And as we lean into kind of, making sure we're still connected with our core, we're just barely moving, very balanced, always staying in a place of equanimity throughout our entire body. Once you reach a place, I don't know, right here maybe for me, you start feeling a little bit of imbalance somewhere. So, you can stop there, slow down, figure out where the balance is. We're not trying to push ourselves. We're just kind of exploring our range of motion. Well, we are pushing ourselves a little bit, but not to the extent that it's painful in any regard.
It's like not even a push. It's like you're just lovingly leaning into and then finding your edges, and then you just lovingly lean into them when you get there. So instead of that same exact movement you just did a second ago, do it in really super slow motion right now, and all of a sudden it's comfortable the whole entire way. Because you can do it in as slow motion as you want to make it comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So no matter how much you think you can go, you can always go a little more. Because if you feel like there's any limitations in your body, and you already know the concept of the fact that you've been beyond your body and space and time, well, how do you reconcile that without just finding out what's the most real thing? How much power do you really have to heal your own self? And so any tension that we find in there, anywhere, is what we're just calling an edge. So right now do that. Let's do this in slow motion, just like Ashton was just talking about. Let's go ahead and widen your stance even a little bit further on your legs to make it a little more aggressive for yourself, only if you know that you can. Deepen down. Get yourself a nice, good edge where you feel like, wow, I'm feeling some pressure there, either in my hips, maybe it's up in my upper thoracic, by my neck, or my shoulders. Where am I feeling the biggest amount of tension? Come back up if you need to, go back down, play around with these edges, find your spots. There's no right or wrong here. What you'll find is there's big old huge like DNA strands of energetic toil tied up everything that you can just unwind if you just do this in a way where you just want to stay present and be on an amusement park ride instead of in a torture chamber. Love on yourself right now instead of do this ambitiously. There's a big difference between stretching and relaxing into stretch. One is a surrender and one is an aggressive, ambitious. They're completely different. So what we're doing is we're playing with all of it. You surrender, accept everything as it is. Oh, there it is. Now what do I want to do? Take that tension, take your awareness there, make it more tight. Release it. Take it more tight. Release it. Watch how every time you do this, every 5 minutes, it's just like, what? I just got that much more flexible? Are you kidding me? Play around with every part of your body. Just get your whole body connected and get really aware of what it wants next. Where's the biggest tension? Where's the biggest edge? And how much love do you want to give on it right now?
We're doing a lot of things. Remember to keep your movement linked to your breath. Stay aware of your breath. It's all connected. You can feel a little disjointed when we don't, when we are missing any piece.
Show it right now. Show the concept right now in a movement. Show how the in-breath Don't overdo it in any position. Just remember, this is a gentle, lovingly leaning into your edges thing. You ever feel like you're going too fast? You are. When we're going too fast in life, we're the ones in traffic causing all the accidents, and we're not even aware of our impact. Putting too much fertilizer on our garden. We're ambitious when we're forward-facing. When there's always something that's got to be done. If I'm not productive, I don't have value. The present moment has all the value ever. All the clarity, all the vitality, and all the abundance. Getting present is the ultimate of success. Vibrating, receptive to everything as it is. Now, in full power, knowing, clarity, that you are the master of whatever you want to call it. Hey, here's the whole entire universe. What do I want to do with that little thing right there? I'll split it in two. Okay, that's how you cell divide something. Just turn one into two. And then those two start to want to fight. You're like, oh, they're just babies. Well, here I am, the master of my whole, I'm giving them a whole entire experience. I'm telling them, so I can confidently just tell them, hey, you guys, don't fight. Watch. You can be in proximity to each other. Learn to dance. Learn to relate. Learn to become fluid.
Learn to make lines less antisocial.
Beautiful. Yeah, why don't we all stand? Let's all stand in one and look at the back of each other's heads and act like we're having a good time, but we're really pissed off that we have to wait in a line. Just take the next few minutes and just play around with your own body and just get into whatever positions you want to that tells you, hey, right now I'm caring as much as my whole entire self can care about myself. I'm allowing my whole entire self to lean into that, just really gently, just practicing it a little bit, believing in it just a little bit.
If it's your lower back, can you sit and try to stretch?
Yes, you can do anything you want. We usually do all kinds of different. Tonight we were just doing a standing one because we haven't done this yet for the full time. So, but if anybody wants to sit and do it from wherever you're at. Because any way you do it is perfect. Whatever your body wants from you right now. You're just listening to it and giving it that. Randy, do you have anything to add to the fluid conversation at this moment? I like the way that Brandy introduced us to her language on water when we were learning how to lean into just being more fluid inside of ourselves, turning ourselves to liquid.
I can kind of give an example on that just now, actually, as I was leaning into my leg, I went a little bit far. And, I kind of went to this edge, and I didn't just get off of it. I kind of let that edge stay where it was and let my whole body kind of move around to that spot. And it became a more balanced position in my whole body. And I could go deeper without any kind of pain.
Nice. There's a spot on the edge. Let's talk about the edge for a minute. When you get to an edge, no matter how big or small it is, you're coming up on, you're like approaching the edge. I'll show you with the gun. You're approaching the edge. These vibrations, I'm going to play right now on the gun. I'm going to ride up, I'm going to get closer and closer and closer to the wave, and then we're going to go up the wave, and then we're eventually going to hang out at the top of the wave for a second, and then we're going to crest, and we're going to come down. There's going to be this resolution of, there's going to be this total release, and the wave is going to crash in on itself. Think about that and own the reality that everything is all inside of you. Take all of your awareness in, everything's in there, all the water's in there, all the air's in there, all the passion, all the everything in your entire life you've ever seen on the outside, it's all inside of you. Just accept that possibility for a second to say, hey, maybe the looking externally for some outside thing to come and help me and save me I know that's been there all the time, but why don't I just accept that it's a higher version of myself that's gifting it to me right now? It's really me. It's me attached to me and the we all at the same time. It's all of us. When you pop through, you find out that's what's going on here. You're just riding whatever waves you want to until you find out that you're actually in full control of everything, and everyone else is too. So you're this big, powerful thing you used to call whatever you called it, God, the whole entire universe, the cosmos, and you realize that you're it. But at the same time, you realize that it's only because you now have a we observation instead of just a me observation. You have a me and a we all at the same time. Now you realize there's more than just duality and polarity. When you ride these waves, take your awareness to between the sounds, between the waves, between the visions. Between. Just observe the middle space. The space where being is. Without thinking, just try to ride the waves inside your body. So all you're doing on the inside of yourself is that same thing. You're just kind of slowly just beating on it. Let me give you a little more, let me give you a little more, let me give you a little more. And you just keep on going and keep on going until you're like, wow, holy cow, that area. I didn't know that just 15 minutes worth of this body movement was going to make me feel all of a sudden I didn't have an SI joint issue anymore or a bad shoulder that I've had for the last 17 years. It's amazing how many times I hear people say, wow, I'm just, oh my, what? All of a sudden I'm just free in my shoe. What?
Yeah,
I can feel my toes.
I can feel my toes again.
I've really inspired. I've been very inspired over the years. I used to get some major back pain right here at my back, bottom left of my back. I would just pop up. I don't know, every 6 months. I would just twinge it really bad, and I'd be out for 4 or 5 days, just in bed, in pain, couldn't move. And I really just thought that's just how it was. I thought that's how my body was. I thought that's how my DNA was or something. I was telling lots of stories. But as I really began to really work on my body and try to push myself into expanding my range of motion and finding out that my limits weren't quite as strict as I thought they were, I noticed that this pain started to go away. I actually had this moment where I had to confront it. I had this pain, I was doing all this stuff, and this pain came up. And I was like, oh, there it is. It's not going to go away. Like, I won't be able to do this practice if I don't sit with it. So I sat in this position. I actually went and stood my head, which is like what you shouldn't do. If a doctor would tell you not to go do that if you were having back pain.
Turn it back.
Yeah. But I went and stood on my head, and I straightened out my back by balancing out all my muscles and these energies inside of me. And ever since then, I've had different back pains, but I've never had something so debilitating pop up again in the sense that I believe it's fixed and I'm stuck with it. It still hurts hurt my neck before. I've still, I've still certainly given myself muscle pains, but when it comes to something more chronic like that, I think that idea of something even being chronic is this idea that it's fixed and you're stuck with it. And I really don't think there's anything.
Self-fulfilling.
Yeah,
These
self-fulfilling.
things don't have to exist.
Exactly.
Exactly.
If you believe it's going to stay around,
It will.
It will. If you believe you can change it, you might be able to find an avenue that can.
Want to improve medicine?
No, right.
Change your mindset.
You just did it.
For real. Not wrong at all.
Hey, I'll bring this up because I found that it's actually just super, super effective. And there is no right or wrong on this at all, because every single form of it seems to take you to somewhere different, per se. When you're doing your whole body movement, and you get yourself into where you got yourself an edge, as soon as you find the edge and you feel like you're really there with it, and your awareness is on the inside, and you're right there with it, and you're just owning what it is. It just is what it is. I'm just going to be there. While you're there, you're hanging out on an edge, and you're facing it boldly and bravely. Well, nature favors courage. You're going to get hit in the backside really quick here. See that? Magical. It almost felt like it was real. Thank you, Randy, for chiming in there. You're going to gift yourself with what comes next. You're going to learn how to turn the agitation into activation. It's a real thing. You're turning literal pain into power. What? You activate something. You flip a switch. It's the moment that you go from a me to a we. There's a lot of other things you can say with it, though, but it really is an effortless place to be. It's just shut off the judge, shut off the thinker for a minute. Literally just be okay with not thinking. Just allow. Allow, allow. Receive, receive, receive. Practice being a receptor instead of a resistor. So when you're there, find your edge. It doesn't matter where it is. Take your awareness there. Keep your awareness inside there. That's where the prominent part of the whole tension is. Lovingly just stay there. Stay there. We're just observing it. Lovingly leaning into it a little tiny bit now. When you get there, just start to softly buzz your lips together and just hum, like make a buzzing sound inside your head that you can start to feel like in your whole body when you're sensitive enough to it. Try to feel that buzzing sound in the area where your awareness is matched to your tension. Let's just try to do a bunch of things all at once, and if some people are going to get it faster than others, it doesn't matter. Just take your awareness there and start to use any kind of a vibration with yourself. Make the vibration, and don't just make it. When you get there, realize that you're the thing that's actually projecting it. So vibrate through the, if I just, here, I'll give you an example. Versus, I just did an exaggerated version of that where you could see where I was making sure to project through. So if I'm going to om, don't just go in a weak way. Engage your whole entire self. Pull it from your belly and go all the way up and go, let me project it. And when you're projecting it, there's a big difference. It's like the difference between stretching and relaxing and singing. Or speaking and singing. Yes, all of a sudden you start to make a song. Brandy, what was it you guys used to do with your kids? So that every time they got in trouble, they had to sing there.
Everything had to be in a song. They were like, but Mom!
That's clever. Oh my God.
So clever. So good. You didn't have to do that.
Usually when we were in the car.
That's cute. Oh my gosh.
Well, look how therapeutic it is the second we start chuckling about that. Life becomes easy again. It's like we're not attached to the trauma that situation built up in us. We're just looking back saying, oh, yummy. look at all this fun life we've been having. I'm grateful for how it's added to us. So try any kind of vibration. There's no right or wrong on it. We don't need to all own together. We can if you guys want to. Makes it more powerful when everybody starts connecting.
Harmonize.
But it makes, but just buzzing on your own, just getting used to it on the inside of your body with the inside awareness is where the skill is built to be able to tap into the coolest parts of synergizing with others that are vibrating. Does that make sense? Let the vibrations in your lips travel out and be aware in slow motion of taking your awareness from the very vibration where it's the most intense, right where your lips meet, to feeling how that vibration changes as it goes further and further out your face, and then throughout your body.
Projected inward.
Project it inward. Yeah, try it. Yeah, do all the things and just become aware of every single part of what you're in control of, really. When your breath, when you start playing around with your breath and vibration harmonics, and you start discovering that everybody's got skills that you didn't even know were humanly possible. Let the vibrations settle into the area where you've got the most tension, where you're at the biggest edge. Settle your awareness, settle all those vibrations, settle everything. It's just okay. Just tell that whole area. Once your awareness is there, you're just friends with it all now. And just let it know it's okay. It's time you guys can relax now. You guys can let off. We're here. We're all in this together. We all know this. We're all equal. out a little bit about that skill and how to lean in like that, all we know is now is we can just do this anytime we want to. You don't need anybody external telling you this. You can just take your awareness on the inside anytime you want and go play around on the whole internal playground you got there. Well, what Ashton and I have learned, and there's a whole bunch of us that have been practicing with this for a while now. We've all added a bunch of new skills to each other by just learning what each other has been playing around with. And you're like, what? You got all these new ways to help, like find increasingly efficient ways, helpful ways to become practical ways to become more present, to feel more success, to feel more clarity, vitality, and abundance right now, to feel like you actually deserve to enjoy every present moment. So we've learned that the more we do that in connection with other people, the faster it all goes, the more enjoyment we all have, in direct proportion to how much we're willing to collaborate and be a relatable thing, receptive to the unique experience of others. That makes us, right then,
connection is a compounding phenomenon. It doesn't just increase one for every one that's added to it.
Exactly. Just like all that we learned from genetics.
It's an exponential function.
Everything is constantly emerging. So we have discovered that we know what's emerging now. It's light and love, whatever you want to call it. It's you. It's you on the middle, and we already know what you are. That's why we're doing all this stuff. Ash, are you okay if we show them right now what we've learned about how to take and say, hey, if I'm just one thing and I'm trying to do this on my own, watch what happens when I add some help.
Yeah.
I mean, Ash, we've had all kinds of experiences where we'll get on these rings, we get the table out, we get other people involved, and we're like trying to lean into our own bodies, but then other people are trying to help us with their hands, with massage guns, and we're just all in this together, so why not add some more energy and love to the whole thing and watch how it works. So
Here, let's start out with let's get in a squat right in front of each other.
okay.
And we'll just put our hands together.
We're just going to focus on just becoming equitable in our connection. So the connection becomes the most important thing for our focus now. Instead of awareness on our bodies, we're just trying to become balanced about the part where we're actually connecting. Ashton's leading right now. I'm just trying to follow. I'll lead for a second.
If you're connected, is there no...
You always have
You're-
positive and negative, no matter what. They're both equal. You always have a yin and yang.
So now, you lead again. I'm just trying to mirror him, and he's kind of leading, and we're just kind of in this little bit of a connective dance where it's just a energetic exchange of just trying to be balanced with our touch and using each other's energy to realize that we're healing ourselves, but it just feels like everything goes a little bit faster. And it gets to be, we're doing something that's kind of advanced right now. Here, let's get up and show them
Yeah,
some of
let's
this.
definitely stand up and that's hard finish.
That is, we were just trying to brag. We were bragging just now. That was us bragging a little bit. That's funny. So let's just practice it like in a way where I'm just gonna guide you around, almost like we're gonna be on a dance floor for 1 second, and you just walk, but I'm gonna be the one to follow, and I'm pulling back, and you're actually now having to press, right?
Yeah.
The second I change motion because I'm leading, now I'm compressing, and now we're pushing. You have to compress instead of in a more. See how now all of a sudden you're. So no matter where I go, if I'm the one leading, you're being sensitive enough to where you're going to follow.
Yeah.
You were sensitive enough to do that. We didn't even practice that
You didn't
before.
even practice that beforehand. Just knew what you wanted.
So just doing it with each other, what we've gotten into though is that we'll take it, and it's not just this light connection like this, right?
Yeah.
We've gotten tied up where
Yeah.
I'll be like deep into my, like some deep into my hip or something, and Ashton's like working on it, on part of himself, like get into a Shabbat, like you would know, like.
Yeah, I don't know how we would normally do something like that.
Sometimes we don't know how we end up getting
We
tangled
don't
up, but
plan
sometimes
it.
it's just like something like this, and I'm like, oh yeah, right there, and then we just, no matter what I want to do, I can do, and he's doing it at the same time, but we're respecting where each other's at. So it teaches the body physical equanimity. The whole entire time we're practicing it. It teaches me to try to be not just the leader or the follower, but really try to let the present moment tell both of us what to do. It's like this effortless little place of just following your instinct, knowing that everything is so perfect and you're going to do exactly what you want next, and you know that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not just an egotistical thing anymore, because now you're aware that of why you're attaching to something, why you're labeling something. Now you have intentionality for it, some sort of a reason.
And when you're with, when you do it with another being and a partner, and you work on each other like that, you can really push into places that you couldn't push into alone. And it can be a little, scary and uncomfortable when you start out. Here we are just kind of touching each other. How many people just touch each other and sit around like this? It can feel really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just wanted to show that for a second, just so everybody can get a feel for the more people you add to it, the more enjoyable it can be, because everybody's feeling the benefits of like, hey, I don't have to just be helping you at the same time. I can be helping you and helping me at the same time, and you're just both lovingly leaning into your edges, and we're like, hey, we're healing ourselves, and we're doing it together. It just makes it more fun, because every time we are with our friends and we're enjoying our lives, it's better than being alone usually. So, blah, blah, blah. What next? We out?
Probably have time there.
Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for. Anybody else want to say anything about being fluid in life?
Thank you. I've been having some lower back problems, and it was just really I already feel
More fluid.
yes.
You think you can go ahead and kick your crutches off right now, and we're not going to be back in your wheelchair right now?
No.
Nice. So you're healed. I love you, Kathy.
You guys.
Hope that was inspiring in some way. I hope the session was helpful in any way, really. We're trying to get better and better with expression.
And improving markedly, I might add.
Thank you.
Value too.
Thank
Definitely
you.
want to bring value into lives.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We love you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you two for being so willing to lean in and just move all weird and
You know how weird you guys
Been here
live.
a few times
I
now. I'm
love
starting.
it.
I'm
I
starting.
really-
To actually
I'm
just
so glad we got that
the
again.
explanation today of what he's been doing for all these months. I'm like, oh, okay. This is making a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Really rapidly.
Yeah.
So every time I come, it's like, oh, okay. This is easier and easier. It makes more sense every time.
Right.
We're trying to get clearer and clearer.
There's just a level of advancement that Ken seems to have with it because he's been doing it for a while.
Ken is pretty advanced.
Thank you. I'm just doing it for you. Me at the same time.
So it's just, why wouldn't you?
Right.
At that point.
Thank you, everyone. See you at
How you doing,
Alright.
Yeah.
Good.
Keep him busy, trying to figure out how to be less busy in between the busy.
I just started a new
Yeah,
job,
how's everything
so
going, Greg?
it's
Is
hard
it slowing
work.
down now?
Yeah,
So
I work tomorrow and the next
I'm at
Thursday.
at Schreiber's.
That's all I'm
Cheese
asking
factory?
right now.
Oh, okay.
Never,
So,
there's always
They have me
another day
kind of
before the other day
in
done.
a flex
Gotcha.
position right now, trim support,
And then what are your
but
plans after that?
it's thousands of pounds of cheese